Most of us are taught that slowing down after 60 is just a natural, inevitable part of the golden years. We tell ourselves it's normal to feel a bit weaker or need more rest. But as a physician working on the front lines of longevity, I have to tell you, that's a dangerous half-truth. Think of your muscles like the structural beams of your home. You don't notice the foundation weakening until the floorboards start to sag. I see this daily. Vibrant patients who suddenly realize they can lift a grocery bag or stand up without help. After 60, you're losing up to 8% of your strength every single decade. It's a silent, invisible theft that your body hides from you until you lose the one thing you value most, your independence. The cost isn't just a medical diagnosis. It's the loss of your autonomy and control over your life. However, there is a way to fight back using a biological shield sitting right in your fridge. Comment: stay independent if you are ready to keep your strength. In my years of clinical practice, I have noticed a recurring pattern. A patient comes in for a routine checkup, perhaps for their blood pressure, or a renewal of their cholesterol medication, and they mention, almost in passing, that they feel a bit slower than they used to. They describe it as a natural part of the aging process, a tax that time collects from all of us. But when I dig deeper, I realize they aren't just getting older, they are being robbed. There is a medical term for this theft, one that most of my colleagues in the healthcare system don't spend enough time explaining to their patients. It is called sarcopenia. To truly understand what we are up against, we need to look at the name itself. Like many terms in medicine, it finds its roots in ancient Greek. The first part, sars, translates to flesh or muscle. The second part, penia, means loss or deficiency. When you put them together, you get the literal definition, a deficiency of the flesh. However, in a clinical setting, sarcopenia is much more than just having smaller muscles. It is the progressive and generalized loss of skeletal muscle mass, accompanied by a decline in physical strength and performance. I often tell my patients to think of their muscles not just as the machinery that moves them, but as the currency of their physical freedom. Sarcopenia is the silent inflation that devalues that currency every single day until eventually you find yourself bankrupt, unable to afford the physical activities that make life worth living. The reason I call sarcopenia a silent thief is that it doesn't break into your house with sirens blaring. It doesn't announce itself with a sharp pain like a heart attack or a visible lump like a tumor. Instead, it picks the locks of your independence quietly, over the years and decades. It starts with incidents so minor that you probably wouldn't even think to mention them to your doctor. Think back to the last time you tried to open a jar of pickles or a new bottle of pasta sauce. Did you find yourself reaching for a rubber grip or perhaps waiting for a spouse or a younger visitor to do it for you? You might have chuckled and said, "They really seal these things tight nowadays." But in reality, your grip strength, a primary biomarker for overall longevity, is beginning to fail. Or consider the stairs in your home. Perhaps you've started taking them one at a time, pausing at the landing under the guise of checking your phone or looking at a picture on the wall. You tell yourself the air feels a bit heavy today, or that you didn't sleep well the night before. This is what I call the psychological trap of aging. We are masters at rationalizing our decline. We attribute the groan we make when standing up from a low sofa to a long day, rather than realizing that our quadriceps, the largest muscles in our body, are losing the explosive power required to lift our weight. This rationalization is dangerous because it leads to a state of passive acceptance. We stop asking, "How can I fix this?" and start asking, "How can I adapt to this decline?" Let me tell you about a patient of mine named John. John is 68 years old, a retired civil engineer from outside of Chicago. He's always been an active man, the kind of person who enjoys woodworking and cooking elaborate Sunday dinners for his family. About 6 months ago, John was in his kitchen preparing a traditional roast. He reached for his heavy 12-inch cast-iron skillet, the same one he had used for 30 years. As he went to move it from the stovetop to the oven, his wrist suddenly buckled. The skillet didn't fall, but the effort required to stabilize it caused a tremor in his arm that he couldn't ignore. In that moment, John didn't just feel old. He felt vulnerable. For the first time, he realized that the objects in his own home were becoming too heavy for him. He realized that if he couldn't lift a skillet today, he might not be able to lift his grandson tomorrow. This is the true face of sarcopenia. It is the transition from being the master of your environment to being a spectator in it. In the United States, the consequences of this muscle loss are staggering. We often focus on bone density, and for good reason, but it is the muscle that protects the bone. When a senior loses muscle mass, they lose their shock absorbers. Their balance becomes precarious. A simple trip over a rug, something that a 40-year-old would recover from with a quick step, becomes a life-altering event for a 70-year-old with sarcopenia. This leads to the most feared outcome in my clinic, the hip fracture. Statistically, for Americans over 65, a hip fracture is a gateway to a loss of independence. Many never return to their homes, and even more never regain their previous level of mobility. Sarcopenia creates the frailty that makes these tragedies possible. It robs you of your autonomy, your confidence, and eventually, the very quality of your life. If the first half of our conversation felt heavy, I want you to take a deep breath, because now we are moving into the light. While sarcopenia is a formidable opponent, it is not an invincible one. One of the most common misconceptions I hear in my office is the idea that once muscle is gone, it's gone forever. Patients look at me with weary eyes and ask, "Doctor, I'm 70 years old. Surely it's too late to build muscle now." My answer is always a resounding no. The human body is incredibly resilient, and its capacity for adaptation does not have an expiration date. Science has shown us that while aging does change the way our bodies process nutrients, a phenomenon known as anabolic resistance, we can overcome this resistance with the right strategy. This is where the science of hope begins. We have discovered that nutrition acts as a powerful brake for the momentum of muscle decay. Think of your body like a high-performance vehicle. As the years go by, the engine might not be as efficient as it once was, but if you provide it with the right high-octane fuel and the right maintenance, it can still outrun the competition. In the medical community, we often talk about the anabolic stimulus. This is the signal your body needs to stop breaking down muscle for energy and start building it back up. Traditionally, we thought this only came from heavy weightlifting or expensive supplements. But recent, groundbreaking research has revealed that certain common foods possess unique bioactive compounds that can actually flip the switch on muscle protein synthesis. These aren't miracle cures sold in plastic bottles on late-night infomercials. These are whole foods you can find at any local grocery store, from Kroger to Whole Foods. I have spent a significant portion of my career studying how these dietary choices impact the aging process. What I've found is that there is a double promise available to anyone willing to listen. The first part of that promise is the star fruit. This is a specific, nutrient-dense fruit that acts as the primary engine for muscle protection. It doesn't just provide calories. It provides the specific chemical messengers your muscle fibers need to stay thick and resilient. It addresses the hormonal shifts and the mineral deficiencies that lead to the skillet incidents, like the one John experienced. The second part of the promise is what I call the 3 allies. These are secondary fruits that, while powerful on their own, create a synergistic effect when combined with the star fruit. In medicine, synergy is when 1 + 1 = 3. These allies work together to build what I call an impenetrable defensive shield around your muscle tissues. They fight the chronic, low-grade inflammation that eats away at your strength, and they improve the electrical communication between your brain and your limbs. By incorporating these into your daily routine, you aren't just eating, you are conducting a biological symphony aimed at preserving your physical freedom. Now, I know what many of you are thinking. You've tried diets before. You've tried complicated nutritional plans that required you to weigh your food or count every single calorie, and they usually lasted about 2 weeks before they became too much of a chore. That is not what we are doing here. My goal as your doctor is to provide you with a plan that fits into your life, not one that takes it over. This is why I have developed the 24-hour action plan that I will share with you at the end of this talk. This plan is designed to be so simple and non-restrictive that it feels almost effortless. It isn't about what you can't eat. It's about the powerful things you should add to your plate. It is a roadmap that shows you exactly how to integrate the star fruit and its 3 allies into a standard American day, whether you having a quiet morning at home or a busy afternoon with friends. We are going to look at the how, the when, and the why, so that by tomorrow you can begin the process of reclaiming your strength. You are not a passive victim of your biology. You are the architect of your own aging process. The silent thief may be clever, but we are now equipped with the knowledge to lock the doors and reinforce the walls. As we move forward, I'm going to break down these fruits one by one, explaining the high-octane compounds they contain, like ursolic acid and potassium, and showing you how they can turn the tide in your favor. We are going to move from a place of concern to a place of action, because your independence is far too valuable to leave to chance. Let's get started with the first and most powerful tool in our arsenal. Now that we have identified the silent thief of sarcopenia, it is time to arm ourselves. When I speak to my patients about nutrition, I often see their eyes glaze over because they expect a lecture on what they cannot eat. They expect me to take away their steak, their butter, or their joy. But my approach, especially for those of us navigating our 60s and 70s, is about strategic addition. We are going to recruit a team of biological bodyguards found right in your local grocery store. Today we begin with the foundation of our strategy, the fruit that provides the structural integrity your muscles are begging for. I am talking about the avocado. For years, the avocado has been relegated to a trendy brunch topping for the younger generation. You've likely seen avocado toast on menus and thought it was just another fad. But as a physician, I look at an avocado and I don't see a trend. I see a hormonal powerhouse. I see a dense, nutrient-rich delivery system designed specifically to combat the biological decay of aging. To understand why the avocado is our foundation fruit, we have to address a myth that many of you grew up with. If you were raised in the 1970s and 80s, you were taught to fear fat. The medical establishment at the time told us that all fat was the enemy, and we shifted toward low-fat, high-sugar diets that, ironically, accelerated muscle loss and inflammation. I want to tell you today that that was a mistake. Your body, particularly as it ages, requires healthy, monounsaturated fats to function. These fats are the precursors to your hormones. Without them, your body's construction crew simply doesn't have the materials it needs to build. Inside that dark, pebbly skin, the avocado hides 3 critical minerals and vitamins that act as the scaffolding for your muscular health. The first is potassium. Now, most people think of bananas when they hear potassium, but here is a clinical secret. A single avocado contains significantly more potassium than a banana. Why does this matter for a 65-year-old? Think about those excruciating night cramps, what we often call Charlie horses, that wake you up in the middle of the night, leaving your calf muscle feeling like it's been tied in a knot. Those cramps are often a distress signal from your nervous system. Potassium is responsible for the electrical signaling that tells your muscles when to contract and, more importantly, when to stop contracting. When your potassium levels are low, your muscle fibers become irritable. They fire randomly and painfully. By making the avocado a staple in your diet, you aren't just eating a fruit. You are stabilizing the electrical grid of your entire body. You are ensuring that when you take a step, your muscles fire in a coordinated, smooth fashion, reducing the risk of the stumbles that lead to falls. The second key nutrient is magnesium. If potassium is the signal to go, magnesium is the master of relaxation. In my clinic, I see so many seniors who feel tight or stiff all the time. They blame it on arthritis, and while that may play a part, often it is a lack of magnesium in the muscle tissue itself. Magnesium allows the muscle fibers to slide back into a relaxed state after exertion. Without it, your muscles stay in a state of microtension. This tension leads to chronic fatigue. You feel tired because your muscles are literally working 24/7 just to stay slightly contracted. The avocado delivers this magnesium in a highly bioavailable form, allowing your muscles to actually rest and recover during the night. Then there is vitamin E. I like to call vitamin E the elite cleaning service for your cells. When you move, walk, or garden, your body produces metabolic waste products called free radicals. Imagine these as tiny pieces of rust that settle on your muscle fibers. If you don't clean that rust off, the fibers become brittle and break down. Vitamin E is a powerful antioxidant that sweeps through your system, neutralizing that rust and allowing your muscles to repair themselves. This is why some people feel sore for 3 days after a simple walk, while others bounce back in 3 hours. The difference is often their internal cleaning service. But the most exciting part of the avocado, the part that really gets me as a scientist, is the IGF-1 connection. IGF-1 stands for insulin-like growth factor 1. Think of it as the bioconstruction manager of your body. When your brain decides it's time to repair a muscle fiber, it sends a work order to the construction manager. However, as we age, our construction manager tends to get a bit lazy. He stops responding to the work orders. The healthy fats in the avocado act like a bonus check for that construction manager. They stimulate the production and the sensitivity of IGF-1. They tell your body, we have the resources, we have the fuel, now go out there and build. This is the anabolic effect. By eating these healthy fats, you are essentially upgrading your body's ability to turn the protein you eat into actual functional muscle tissue. Without these fats, the protein you eat often just gets wasted or stored as fat. The avocado ensures the protein goes where it belongs, into your strength. To make this practical, I want to give you Dr. Eric's Power Toast. This is how I want you to start your day. We aren't just going to mash an avocado and call it a day. We are going to create a clinical-grade breakfast. Take a slice of high-quality, whole-grain sprouted bread, something with texture and fiber to keep your blood sugar stable. Mash half a ripe avocado on top. Now, here is the secret ingredient. Add 1 sliced hard-boiled egg. The avocado provides the fats and minerals, but the egg provides the leucine, an amino acid that acts as the on switch for muscle building. Squeeze a little fresh lemon over it to provide vitamin C, which helps the collagen in your tendons, and a dash of black pepper to aid absorption. This isn't just breakfast. It's a 5-minute medical intervention for your muscles. It's delicious, it's filling, and it tells your body, from the moment you wake up, that today we are building strength, not losing it. Once we have laid the foundation with the avocado, we move to our second warrior in the fight against sarcopenia, the red apple. We've all heard the old saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. It's a cliché that has been around since the 1800s. But in the last decade, we have discovered that this old folk wisdom has a very modern, very powerful scientific basis. However, there is a critical rule that most Americans get wrong. You must eat the skin. In my practice, I see many patients who peel their apples because the skin is tough, or they worry about pesticides. If you peel your apple, you are throwing the medicine in the trash. The flesh of the apple is mostly water, fiber, and sugar. It's fine, but the power, the biological builder, lives almost entirely in that thin red peel. That power comes from a compound called ursolic acid. If the avocado is the foundation, then ursolic acid is the architect. A few years ago, a landmark study published in the journal Cell Metabolism sent shockwaves through the geriatric medical community. Researchers found that ursolic acid has a unique, almost magical ability to redirect how our bodies use energy. It works through what I call the dual telegram mechanism. Imagine your muscle cells receive 2 telegrams every time you consume the skin of a red apple. The first telegram is a ceasefire order. It tells your body to stop the catabolic process, the process of breaking down muscle for energy. This is vital because after 60, our bodies become catabolic dominant. We break down muscle much faster than we used to. Ursolic acid steps in and says, no more. We are holding the line here. The second telegram is even more incredible. It is an expansion order. It tells the existing muscle fibers to become more efficient, larger, and stronger. In the cell metabolism study, they found that this compound not only reduced muscle atrophy, wasting, but actually promoted hypertrophy, the growth of new muscle tissue. Even more interesting for my patients who struggle with the belly that seems to appear as we get older, ursolic acid was shown to reduce body fat and blood sugar levels at the same time. It is like a traffic cop that takes the sugar out of your blood and directs it into your muscles to be used as fuel instead of letting it sit around your waistline. But the apple's benefits don't stop with ursolic acid. It is also packed with a specific type of fiber called pectin. Now, why would a doctor for seniors be obsessed with fiber? Because of inflammaging. This is a term we use to describe the chronic, low-grade inflammation that happens as we age. This inflammation acts like a slow-burning fire that literally melts away your muscle mass. Pectin acts as a fire extinguisher. It feeds the healthy bacteria in your gut, which in turn produce short-chain fatty acids that travel through your bloodstream and cool down that inflammatory fire. Furthermore, pectin slows down the absorption of sugar. This is crucial because when your blood sugar spikes, your body releases a burst of insulin. While insulin is necessary, chronic high insulin levels actually make your muscles resistant to growth. By keeping your blood sugar stable with an apple, you keep your body in a growth-friendly state. I want you to imagine the long-term benefit of this. Think about John, the patient I mentioned earlier, who struggled with the cast iron skillet. If John starts eating a red apple with the skin every afternoon, he isn't just eating a snack. He is sending a daily architect into his system to rebuild the grip strength in his hands and the power in his forearms. Over months, those small ceasefire orders from the ursolic acid add up. Suddenly, that skillet doesn't feel so heavy anymore. To make this work for you, I've developed Dr. Eric's portable apple crumble. I know that biting into a whole apple can be tough on the teeth for some of my patients, and it can get a bit boring. Here is what I want you to do. Get a box grater, the kind you use for cheese. Grate a whole red apple, skin and all, into a bowl. The grating process breaks down the tough skin, making it much easier to digest and releasing the ursolic acid more effectively. Now, sprinkle a generous amount of cinnamon on top. Cinnamon isn't just for flavor. It's a powerful medical spice that further stabilizes your blood sugar. Mix it up, put it in a small Tupperware container, and take it with you when you go out to run errands or visit friends. When that 3 p.m. hunger hit arrives, the one that usually leads you to a bag of chips or a sugary granola bar, eat your grated apple instead. It tastes like a dessert, it smells like home, but it's actually a sophisticated muscle-building treatment. The beauty of these two fruits, the avocado and the red apple, is that they work in perfect harmony. The avocado provides the raw materials and the hormonal environment, the foundation, while the apple provides the specific chemical signals to stop the waste and start the construction, the builder. They are the first two members of your elite defense team. In my years of clinical practice, I have seen that the patients who thrive, the ones who are still hiking at 75 and driving themselves to the coast at 80, are not the ones taking 20 different miracle supplements. They are the ones who have mastered these small daily habits. They understand that their quality of life is built at the end of a fork. By starting your morning with the power toast and having your apple crumble in the afternoon, you have already done more for your muscular health than 90% of the population. You are no longer a passive observer of your aging. You are an active participant in your strength. And we are just getting started. We still have 2 more allies to discuss, the ones that will protect your nerves and give you the clean energy you need to move. But for now, I want you to look at these 2 fruits not as groceries, but as your new insurance policy for independence. We have already discussed the structural foundation of the avocado and the architectural precision of the red apple. But to truly win the war against sarcopenia, we need more than just building materials. We need a defense system. In my practice, I often see patients who are eating right in a general sense, yet they still feel a sense of fragility. They tell me, "Dr. Eric, I feel like my body is rusting from the inside out. This isn't just a figure of speech. It is a biological reality. As we age, our muscles are under constant attack from oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. This is why we must recruit our third warrior, the berries. When I walk through a supermarket, I see the berry section as more than just a colorful display for desserts. Whether it is blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, or raspberries, these small fruits represent what I call the protective battalion. They are packed with a class of hero compounds known as anthocyanins. I want you to imagine these anthocyanins as an elite paratrooper team. Their mission is to drop into your bloodstream, navigate to your muscle tissues, and engage in high-stakes combat against the vandals of your body, free radicals. To understand why this matters to you, we have to talk about biological rust. Every time you breathe, eat, or move, your body creates byproducts called free radicals. When you were 30, your body was a master at neutralizing these, but at 60 or 70, these free radicals begin to accumulate. They are unstable molecules that bounce around your muscle cells like pinballs, damaging the delicate machinery that allows your muscles to contract. This damage is a primary driver of premature muscle aging. If you've ever felt like your recovery time after a simple walk has tripled, or if your muscles feel heavy for no apparent reason, you are likely experiencing high levels of oxidative stress. The anthocyanins in berries are some of the most potent antioxidants known to science. They don't just help the situation, they neutralize the threat on contact. By eating a handful of berries daily, you are effectively sending a rescue team to clean up the rust before it can compromise the integrity of your muscle fibers. But there is a second benefit to berries that is even more crucial for your independence: the improvement of the neuromuscular connection. In my clinic, I often perform a simple balance test with my senior patients. I ask them to stand on one leg. Often, their muscles are strong enough to hold them, but their connection is shaky. This is the communication between the nerve and the muscle. Think of it like a Wi-Fi signal. You can have the fastest computer, strong muscles, but if the Wi-Fi signal, the nerve, is weak, the computer won't work. This neuromuscular connection is what allows you to react when you trip on a rug or stumble on a curb. Research has shown that the bioactive compounds in berries, particularly blueberries, actually tune this control system. They cross the blood-brain barrier and help the neurons in your brain send clearer, faster signals to your limbs. This is the difference between a trip becoming a close call and a trip becoming a broken hip. When your reflexes are sharp, your muscles can fire in milliseconds to stabilize you. By eating berries, you aren't just protecting your muscle mass, you are sharpening the software that runs your body. I want to give you a clinical example. Consider a patient I'll call Susan, a 72-year-old who lived in a suburb with uneven sidewalks. She was terrified of walking because she felt disconnected from her legs. She felt her feet were heavy and her reaction time was slow. We didn't just give her exercises, we put her on a berry protocol. After 3 months of consistent anthocyanin intake, she reported feeling more plugged in. Her balance improved because her brain was finally communicating effectively with her calves and ankles. Many people avoid berries because they go bad quickly in the fridge or they find them too expensive out of season. Here is my advice: go to the frozen aisle. Modern flash freezing techniques lock in the anthocyanins at their peak, and often, frozen berries are more nutrient-dense than fresh ones that have been sitting on a truck for a week. Take half a cup of frozen blueberries or mixed berries. While they are still frozen, sprinkle a small pinch of nutmeg over them. Nutmeg has its own anti-inflammatory properties and provides a warm, earthy contrast to the cold, tart berries. Eat them one by one like little frozen gems in the late afternoon. It is a sensory experience that satisfies your sweet tooth while deploying an elite battalion of protectors to your muscles and nerves. Now, we must address the final warrior in our quartet. This is perhaps the most misunderstood fruit in the American diet, the banana. In my office, I encounter a lot of sugar fear. Patients say to me, "But Dr. Eric, isn't a banana just a stick of sugar?" My friend told me I should avoid them because of the carbs. I want to use my authority as a physician to bust this myth once and for all. A banana is not a candy bar. It is high-quality, clean fuel for your muscular engine. When you eat a candy bar, you get a spike of refined sugar that causes an insulin crash, leaving you weaker than before. When you eat a banana, you get a sophisticated package of glucose, fructose, and starch wrapped in fiber. This provides a slow, steady release of energy. For someone over 60, this is vital. Your muscles store less glycogen, energy, than they used to. If you don't provide clean fuel, your body will actually start to break down your own muscle tissue to find the energy it needs for a simple walk. We call this muscle wasting, and the banana is one of the best ways to prevent it. The real magic of the banana, however, lies in its mineral synergy. We've talked about potassium and magnesium throughout this video, but the banana delivers them in a ratio that is perfectly balanced for human physiology. Potassium is the spark plug that initiates the muscle contraction. Magnesium is the coolant that allows the muscle to relax. Without this synergy, your muscles are prone to misfires. This manifests as those painful night cramps or that persistent twitching in your eyelid or thumb. By providing both minerals simultaneously, the banana ensures that your muscle function remains smooth and coordinated. But there is a secret ingredient in the banana that most people overlook: vitamin B6. Think of vitamin B6 as the metabolic catalyst. It is a primary coenzyme in the metabolism of proteins. Why does this matter? Because you can eat all the protein in the world, steak, eggs, chicken. But if you don't have enough B6, your body cannot efficiently turn that protein into new muscle fibers. B6 is the worker that takes the bricks of protein and cements them into the wall of your muscle. Additionally, B6 is essential for the production of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which keep your mood stable and your brain-to-muscle signals strong. I also want to touch on the accessibility angle. I know that for many of my patients on fixed incomes, health can feel like a luxury. But the banana is the great equalizer. It is one of the most cost-effective health interventions on the planet. For less than 50 cents, you can provide your body with the potassium, magnesium, and B6 it needs to survive the day. You don't need fancy supplements or designer superfoods. You just need the humble banana. Let's talk about another patient, Robert, a 65-year-old veteran who loved to golf but found himself getting shaky by the 14th hole. He thought he was just getting old. We looked at his habits and realized he was golfing on an empty stomach because he was afraid of carbs. I told him to eat one banana at the 9th hole. The result? No more shakes, no more fatigue. He had simply given his muscles the clean fuel and the mineral support they were begging for. Many of us grew up going to the local ice cream shop, but at 60 plus, the dairy and refined sugar in traditional ice cream can cause massive inflammation. Here is my doctor-approved alternative. Wait until your bananas are very ripe, the ones with the brown spots. That is when the B6 and antioxidants are at their highest. Peel them, slice them, and freeze them in a bag. When you want a treat, put those frozen slices into a blender or food processor. Add 1 tablespoon of pure, unsweetened cocoa powder, which is also great for blood flow, and a tiny splash of unsweetened almond milk. Blend it until it's creamy. The texture is identical to premium soft-serve ice cream. I call it nice cream because it's kind to your blood sugar and incredible for your muscles. The potassium and magnesium from the banana, combined with the flavonoids in the cocoa, make this the ultimate recovery meal after a day of being active. Your muscles will celebrate this victory. By incorporating the berries and the banana alongside the avocado and the apple, you aren't just eating fruit. You are conducting a 4-part harmony of biological defense and growth. You are protecting your nerves with berries, fueling your contractions with bananas, building with apples, and providing the foundation with avocados. In my clinical experience, I have seen that sarcopenia thrives in the absence of information. It relies on you being passive. But now you have a G.I. Joe battalion of anthocyanins and a high-octane fuel source of B6 and potassium at your disposal. You are no longer just getting older. You are becoming a person who manages their biology with precision. In the final part of our talk, I am going to show you how to put all of this together into a simple 24-hour roadmap so you can stop worrying about the theory and start feeling the strength in your own limbs. But for now, remember this. Every berry you eat and every banana you peel is a vote for your future independence. It is a decision to stay in the game, to keep your grip strong, and to keep your balance steady. You have the power. Now let's use it. We have journeyed through the science of our 4 powerful warriors: the avocado, the red apple, the berries, and the humble banana. By now, you understand the why behind these choices. You understand that we are not just eating for flavor. We are eating for the biological signaling required to keep your muscles strong and your independence intact. But in my clinical experience, I've learned that knowledge without a roadmap often leads to a shelf of good intentions. You might be thinking, this sounds great, Dr. Eric, but how do I actually fit this into my Tuesday morning? That is why I have developed what I call the 24-hour implementation strategy. This is not a rigid diet. It is a roadmap designed for the American lifestyle, simple, accessible, and grounded in the rhythm of a normal day. We are going to walk through a single day together, from the moment you wake up to the moment your head hits the pillow, showing you exactly how to deploy your protective battalion for maximum effect. Your day begins at 7 a.m. While you slept, your body was in a catabolic state, meaning it was breaking down tissues for energy because you weren't eating. For a 20-year-old, this is fine. For someone over 60, this is where muscle loss can accelerate if we aren't careful. We need to flip the switch from breakdown to build as soon as possible. This is why we start with the avocado and egg foundation. I want you to have that slice of whole grain sprouted bread we discussed, the kind that provides a slow release of energy. Mash your half avocado on top. Why now? The healthy monounsaturated fats in the avocado are the precursors your body needs to produce the hormones that drive muscle growth throughout the day. But the avocado needs a partner. By adding that hard-boiled or poached egg, you are providing leucine. In geriatric nutrition, we talk about the leucine threshold. As we age, our muscles become deaf to the signal to grow. We need a larger shout of leucine, about 2.5 to 3 grams, to wake them up. An egg combined with the protein in whole grain bread gets you closer to that threshold. When you squeeze that lemon and sprinkle that pepper, you are aiding digestion and collagen support. This breakfast tells your body, the fast is over, we have the materials, start building. Around 10:30 a.m., you might feel that familiar dip in energy. In the past, you might have reached for a muffin or a piece of toast. Instead, this is when we deploy the red apple with the skin. By eating your grated apple with cinnamon now, you are performing a midday architectural checkup. The ursolic acid in the skin sends that ceasefire order we talked about, ensuring that the muscle you just started building at breakfast isn't wasted as the morning progresses. The pectin fiber in the apple also keeps your blood sugar stable, preventing the insulin spikes that lead to inflammaging. This is the bridge that carries you to lunch without a metabolic crash. It keeps your mind sharp and your muscle-building pathways open. Lunch is often where the silent thief of sarcopenia gains ground, usually because we eat something heavy in refined carbs and low in nutrients. We are going to change that. Your lunch should be a clean protein source, perhaps a grilled chicken breast or a piece of baked cod. But the secret weapon is the salad. I want you to have a generous bed of fresh spinach. Spinach is rich in nitrates, which modern research shows can improve the efficiency of the mitochondria, the power plants, inside your muscle cells. But we aren't done. I want you to toss a handful of blueberries or mixed berries directly into that salad. The tartness of the berries pairs beautifully with a light vinaigrette, but the biological reason is even better. By midday, your body has accumulated oxidative stress from your morning activities. The anthocyanins in those berries act as an elite paratrooper team, dropping into your system to neutralize free radicals and sharpen that neuromuscular connection If you're planning to go for a walk or run errands in the afternoon, this berry-infused lunch ensures your brain and muscles are plugged in and communicating perfectly, protecting your balance. Around 3 p.m. or 4 p.m., many of my patients experience what they call the afternoon slump. This is the danger zone where people sit on the recliner and don't get back up. This is when we use the banana and cocoa smoothie. Remember, this is not a milkshake. It's a high-octane recovery fuel. The frozen banana provides the clean fuel, glucose and fructose, to refill your muscle glycogen. Vitamin B6 acts as the catalyst to ensure that any protein you've eaten so far is being metabolized correctly. By adding a tablespoon of pure cocoa, you are increasing blood flow to your extremities. This smoothie gives you the second wind you need to stay active until dinner. It satisfies the sweet tooth that often plagues us in the evening, but it does so while supporting your physical strength. Dinner is about preparation for the long fast of sleep. A piece of salmon is the ideal choice here. The omega-3 fatty acids in salmon are world-class anti-inflammatories. They cool down the systemic fire that ages your muscles. Pair this with steamed broccoli, rich in sulforaphane, another muscle protector. And for dessert, a few fresh strawberries. They are low in sugar but high in vitamin C and antioxidants. This final dose of protection ensures that as you sleep, your body has the micronutrients it needs to perform nighttime maintenance on your muscle fibers. By following this roadmap, you haven't just eaten 3 meals. You have conducted a 24-hour symphony of muscle preservation. You have addressed the foundation, the architecture, the defense, and the fuel. This is how you take control of your biology. Now, I must be completely honest with you as your doctor. We have spent a lot of time talking about nutrition, and it is a massive piece of the puzzle. It is the bricks and mortar of your physical house. But there is a second half to this equation that we cannot ignore. You can have the best bricks and the finest mortar in the world, but if no one ever lives in the house, it will eventually fall into disrepair. In the world of human biology, we call this the law of motion. There is a fundamental principle that governs every cell in your body. Use it or lose it. Your body is an incredibly efficient and sometimes incredibly lazy machine. It is constantly looking for ways to save energy. Muscle tissue is expensive for your body to maintain. It requires a lot of calories, a lot of oxygen, and a lot of blood flow. When you spend your day being sedentary, sitting for long hours at the computer, watching several hours of television, or driving everywhere, you are sending a very clear sedentary message to your brain. That message is, I am no longer using these expensive muscle fibers in my legs, my core, and my arms. They are a waste of resources. Please dismantle them. And because your body is obedient, it begins the process of atrophy. It starts to foreclose on your muscle mass. No amount of avocados or apples can fully overcome a body that is being told it no longer needs to be strong. Sarcopenia loves the sedentary life. It thrives in the quiet moments on the sofa. But here is the good news, and it's the reason I'm so passionate about this. The signal is reversible. You do not need to become a marathon runner or join a high-intensity gym to change the message you are sending to your brain. You just need to create an anabolic stimulus. This is a fancy way of saying you need to remind your body that these muscles are useful and necessary. I want to introduce you to the concept of micro-movements. These are small, non-athletic actions that you can weave into your 24-hour roadmap. They don't require special clothes, and they won't make you sweat through your shirt, but they are incredibly effective at waking up the muscle-building pathways. Tomorrow morning, while you are waiting for the kettle to boil or the coffee to brew, I want you to stand at your kitchen counter. Place your hands lightly on the edge for balance. Now, simply sit your hips back as if you're going to sit in a chair, and then stand back up. Do this 10 times. This simple action recruits the type 2 muscle fibers in your thighs and glutes, the fibers most responsible for your balance and your ability to stand up from a chair. By doing this while you prepare your avocado power toast, you are combining the bricks, nutrition, with the construction order, motion. The next time you go to the store, I want you to purposely park your car at the far end of the parking lot. Walk at a brisk pace toward the entrance, fast enough that it would be a little bit difficult to hold a conversation. This short burst of activity increases your heart rate and forces your leg muscles to stabilize you on the pavement. When you carry those grocery bags back to the car, don't look at them as a chore. Look at them as functional resistance training. Those bags are the weights that tell your body, keep the arm and shoulder muscles strong. We need them for the shopping. If you're watching the news or a movie, every time a commercial comes on, stand up. Don't just sit there. Walk to the other side of the room and back. Stretch your arms toward the ceiling. This breaks the sedentary spell and tells your nervous system that you are still active and engaged. When you combine these small movements with the strategic nutrition we've discussed, you create a powerful biological synergy. The movement creates the demand, and the fruits provide the supply. Think back to John, my patient who struggled with his cast iron skillet. John didn't just start eating apples. He started doing grip squeezes with a tennis ball while he watched the evening news. He started taking the stairs one extra time a day. By combining the ursolic acid from the apple skins with the physical demand of using his hands and legs, he gave his body no choice but to get stronger. 6 months later, he wasn't just lifting the skillet. He was back in his wood shop, building a cradle for his newest grandchild. That is what is at stake here. This is not about looking fit or hitting the gym. This is about the sovereignty of your life. It is about the ability to choose where you go, what you do, and how you live. Sarcopenia wants to narrow your world until it is the size of a single room. But with these 4 fruits and these small, consistent movements, you can push back. You can keep your world wide, vibrant, and independent. You have the roadmap now. You have the 24-hour strategy, and you have the law of motion. You are no longer guessing. You are no longer a victim of just getting old. You are a person with a plan. As we close this conversation, I want to remind you that the most important step is the one you take next. Don't try to change everything at once. Pick one thing from today's talk. Maybe tomorrow morning, you'll try the avocado-powered toast. Maybe this afternoon, you'll go buy a bag of red apples and commit to eating one with the skin. I would love to hear which of these steps you are going to take first. In the comments below, simply type one of 3 things. I'm in, if you're ready to start the 24-hour plan. Starting tomorrow, WW, if you're going to the grocery store to get your 4 warriors. Independent C, if that is your primary goal. By typing that comment, you aren't just interacting with a video, you are committing yourself. You are joining a community of people who refuse to let the silent thief win. Thank you for spending this time with me. It is an honor to be a part of your journey toward a stronger, more independent life. I am Dr. Eric Whitman. Stay strong, stay active, and I'll see you in the next one. If there is one thing I want you to carry with you after today, it is that sarcopenia is not a crisis. It is the silent, daily erosion of your physical freedom. You might have caught yourself recently, perhaps choosing the elevator for a single floor, or letting a heavy door close on its own, quietly accepting it as the natural weight of the years. It isn't because you were careless. It is simply because no one explained that this decline is a clinical condition that you can actually push back against. You still hold the keys to your own autonomy, and by making even one small change in your kitchen today, you are reclaiming a piece of your future. You are not too late. If this realization hits home for you, please just type the word strength in the comments. It is a simple way to let me know you are ready to take control. I invite you to follow this channel, not for entertainment, but as a safeguard, so you never miss these early warnings. In our next conversation, I will be discussing a risk that is even more common and often more brittle than muscle loss itself. I share these things because I have sat with far too many patients who only wish they had known all of this years earlier. I'm Dr. Eric Whitman. Stay strong.